Imagine a truck that would revolutionize the world. Did you picture it? Now open your eyes and you'll see this. The image you're looking at was a concept suggested by automotive enthusiasts as the potential Cybertruck from Tesla, but it tragically fell far short of that and turned into this abomination. This vehicle, which promised to revolutionize the truck market, is actually a walking disaster. Forget the futuristic looks and media hype. The Cybertruck is an affront to automotive common sense. From grotesque design flaws that make the vehicle look like a poorly finished toy to broken promises of performance and safety, the list of problems is endless, and its journey has been an emotional roller coaster. Even loaded with promising and even revolutionary technologies, the brand known for self-driving vehicles made a big mistake with the Cybertruck, a grave one. For us mere enthusiasts, we just enjoy the memes about the car and criticize its grotesque design. But what exactly happened? What went so wrong with the Cyberjunk? Am I being too harsh? Well, my dear lover of combustion engine cars, this video will be the delight of your day. We won't mince words as we expose the sad reality of the Cyberjunk, a vehicle that could become one of the biggest fiascos in automotive history, if it isn't already. And for those of you who love electric cars, be careful not to fall victim to the modern fool's gold called the Fiasco Cybertruck. Electric cars. Those two words together cause a huge stir in the world, in the economy, in mobility, and especially in the automotive scene, a true battleground of opinions. I confess I'm extremely confused about it, and I bet you are too. So are they worth it or not? Are they already the future, or will they be? Why do we see so many experts saying it's the greatest invention of mankind, while the other half of these so-called authorities say it's pure nonsense and not sustainable at all? Are those who praise it being paid to do so, or are the critics also getting paid for their task? Well, it's hard to know, we must stay alert, but is there a middle ground, a perfect balance for this electric car issue? Electric cars are on the rise, and it's not by chance. They are super efficient, converting 59 to 62% of battery energy into motion, while gasoline cars only reach 21% at most. And there's more, no pollutant gas emissions, which is excellent for the environment. If you like a quiet ride, you'll love the peaceful, noise-free drive of these vehicles. However, not everything is rosy in the world of electric cars. Their range still leaves much to be desired, with many models not coming close to the distances a gasoline car covers on a full tank. And charging the battery takes much longer than filling up the tank. Moreover, the charging station infrastructure is still in its early stages in many areas, and the initial purchase price is higher, even with some subsidies available. After saying all this, let's go back to the early 2010s, where society's focus was on other things. The world was rapidly evolving in technology and culture, transforming how people communicated, worked, and especially entertained themselves, playing games on smartphones as a pastime and escaping boredom. Amid all these transformations, an innovation emerged that promised to change the way we move and think about transportation: electric cars. This technology, initially viewed with skepticism, began to gain traction and be integrated into society, bringing with it the promise of a more sustainable and efficient future. But in 1991, we wouldn't see the first versions of electric cars. Let me explain. The first versions emerged around 1830 when inventors in Hungary, the Netherlands, and the United States began experimenting with vehicles powered by electricity. In 1890, William Morrison, a chemist from Des Moines, Iowa, built the first practical electric vehicle in the United States, capable of carrying 6 passengers at a top speed of 14 miles per hour. At the beginning of the 20th century, electric cars became very popular, mainly in urban areas. They were quieter, cleaner, and easier to operate than the gasoline vehicles of the time. However, with the mass production of Ford's Model T in 1908 and the discovery of vast oil reserves, internal combustion engine cars became more accessible and thus began to dominate the market. Throughout the century, electric cars took a back seat, but during the oil crises of the 1970s and 1980s, there was always a re-interest in electric vehicles as an alternative to fossil fuels, always with the promise of saving the world, of revolutionizing. However, it was only in the late 1990s and early 2000s that advancements in battery technology, particularly lithium-ion batteries, began to make electric cars more viable. Manufacturers like GM, Toyota, and Honda launched experimental and limited production models, like GM's EV1 and Toyota's RAV4 EV. Then, on June 22, 2012, at its own factory in Fremont, California, another name directly tied to the electric revolution in the current automotive world emerged.
A car that represents the future.
Tesla launched the Model S, always full of bold ideas and controversial since forever. On Twitter, Elon Musk, already CEO of Tesla, wrote at the same time, "I'd love to build a Tesla Supertruck with insane torque, dynamic air suspension, and curves like it's on rails. It would be amazing." And all this before his company became the multi-billion-dollar giant influencing the market today. Time passed, and the idea of the Supertruck seemed increasingly buried in his visionary and controversial mind until we reached 2016. In that year's list of American goals, the electric truck was mentioned, but still, the vehicle seemed only a nebulous idea. A year later, the manufacturer launched the Model 3, carrying the future of the company and joining the T and S models, which until then cost between $70,000 to $100,000, not being accessible to all pockets. The Model 3's proposal was to fill that gap, costing less. 2 years after many technological advances, controversies on social media, and already known worldwide, the powerful billionaire would make his dream come true. Musk had never spoken so seriously, and thus in Hawthorne, California, the Tesla Cybertruck was unveiled. With an angular and futuristic design, the model surprised the world in different ways, generating different reactions from many critics. It seemed grotesque, abstract, uncreative, different from what we always had in mind about futuristic cars. Well, at least for me, who grew up watching this here. In the presentation, Musk emphasized his ideals, applied technology, and especially when talking about the car's resistance. And to prove it, he took a hammer and in front of everyone, threw it against the car's bulletproof glass. And the result?
Well, try that on, really? Okay. Sure.
Oh, man.
It didn't go through.
It was extremely shocking for those watching, and immediately became a meme for millions of people across various social networks. Despite appearing to be a complete disaster, some theories say it was intentional, to attract attention and get everyone talking about it. Whether intentional or not, no one knows to this day, but the fact really gained a lot of attention, and the most impressive thing was that in no time, Musk had thousands of dollars in his pocket from people reserving the vehicle. Elon Musk discussed how trucks have maintained the same design over the past 100 years and showed some iconic trucks throughout history, expecting us to laugh at those outdated designs. But ironically, he belittled designs that are true milestones in automotive history. In the presentation, Elon compared the Cybertruck to the most popular truck in the United States and of all time, the Ford F-150, a vehicle deeply rooted in American culture with a legacy of decades. Musk specifically pointed out problems with the body-on-frame design, something that's not a new criticism since few vehicles besides trucks still use this design today. His main point was that the mass of the traditional truck is in the upper part of the vehicle, while in the Cybertruck, it's on the exterior, in the form of what he calls an exoskeleton. The expectation was that this would mean more interior or cargo space, but in reality, this whole structure only served to have a bulletproof and hammer-resistant outer shell, supposedly making it more robust. The vehicle's appearance seemed so unusual that many believed the real production truck would be different, and this was just a model to make noise, create hype. It's a fact that Tesla promised a lot, and if they managed to deliver everything they swore for the model, it would be a revolution never seen before in the market. But as they say in the business world, what matters are the results, not the promises. If someone who knew nothing about Tesla saw that event, they'd probably conclude that Elon Musk and his company were trying to rethink the concept of a truck to create something better, but it wasn't anything like that, unfortunately. And now we come to what most of you want, the design. Its appearance indeed grabs attention, but almost unanimously in a negative way. The vehicle's look made many stop, look, and a bad prop from an 80s movie about a dystopian sci-fi future, said engineer Richard Domiano. Very ugly, and not just ugly, horrible, said Justina Fabrici, a Canadian accountant. Hideous, said a retired physics professor named Jim Davis. Snap. A primary school student could have drawn that with a crayon on the floor, said Randy Voss, a former salesman. For many, The dislike for the vehicle's simple line suggested a wrong judgment about the designers. I see something that seems to have been designed by a child, and other adults didn't have the courage to tell the child that the proportions were terrible. They let the child do whatever they wanted, and now they're stuck with something they have to make. There are incredibly bad design decisions behind this, said Eric Strebel, an industrial designer in Michigan. That boxy shape that a few dare to say is aesthetically appealing, beautiful, dazzling the eyes, and filling the best designers in history with pride, but no, visually, it's a complete disaster. Musk said there was strong inspiration from the Lotus Esprit submarine car in the movie 007, The Spy Who Loved Me, as well as the vehicles in Blade Runner. But instead of creating something attractive and innovative, the Cybertruck looks like a giant gas station ice machine on wheels. Elon also claimed that the Cybertruck would come with an onboard air compressor, but that promise was not fulfilled. The full range was also promised but never materialized, and the initial price of $39,900. In today's reality, a Cybertruck costs over $100,000, and interested buyers still have to face a long waiting list to receive it. Fast forward about 4 years, the first Cybertruck delivery happened, and we had another live event. The slogan was, "More utility than a truck, faster than a sports car." In terms of performance as a sports car, fine, the Cybertruck indeed impresses, with its acceleration from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.6 seconds, an improvement from the promised 2.9 seconds. But as for the chassis design, the Cybertruck seems to be just a unibody construction without a floor, similar to the Model Y, far from being an exoskeleton. And now, with all the Cybertrucks being recalled and facing constant production problems, there are serious doubts about the future of this supposedly futuristic vehicle. It's possible that the Cybertruck could become one of the worst trucks ever launched by a major manufacturer. It may seem like a revolutionary innovation, but in practice, it fails to deliver on the promises that were so glorified during the announcement event. Whether in terms of utility, performance, safety, or cost benefit, the Cybertruck falls short. Elon Musk's approach to the Cybertruck raised a lot of expectations, but also raised many questions. We can't forget the number of promises that were left behind. One of the biggest problems is the lack of practicality. Even though Elon promised that the truck would be capable of performing heavy-duty tasks like towing large loads and transporting bulky materials, the reality is that it doesn't perform as well in these functions. The load and towing capacity are lower than what was initially promised, and the air suspension, while interesting in theory, doesn't deliver the expected performance on rough terrains. Additionally, its shape isn't practical for everyday use. Being angular and the materials used make the vehicle heavy and hard to maneuver. Visibility is also an issue, with several blind spots that make driving difficult. The safety issue is concerning. Although the Cybertruck was designed to be tough, this feature can be problematic in crashes. Cars aren't made from hard stainless steel because in collisions, it doesn't absorb impact well. The car's rigid construction poses a risk both to occupants and other vehicles in an accident. The lack of crumple zones means that the energy from a collision is transferred directly to the passengers, increasing the risk of serious injuries. Moreover, the toughness of stainless steel could cause more severe damage to other vehicles in a collision compared to conventional cars. Another of the many points to consider is the price of the Cybertruck, which turns off many potential buyers. The initial value disclosed was $39,900, but in reality, most versions of the Cybertruck cost much more than that. For many consumers, the high price simply doesn't justify the features and performance offered by the car. In terms of marketing, Tesla succeeded in creating a huge buzz and offering a bait and switch with the Cyberjunk. It's okay that the unusual design and launch events drew public attention and generated a massive amount of free publicity, but this type of marketing can be a double-edged sword. When the final product doesn't meet expectations, the reaction can be much more negative, potentially even affecting sales of other already established and good-looking models the manufacturer has. And we can't forget the legal and regulatory issues. The vehicle is not available in Europe due to safety concerns. And even in the United States, where regulations are much less strict for trucks, there are doubts about how Tesla got approval for such an unconventional vehicle. If legal problems arise or if regulations change, Tesla could face bigger challenges than they imagined to continue selling this piece of junk. Furthermore, the stainless steel design raises concerns about maintenance and repairs. Not even your neighborhood's body shop can escape this famous electric bomb. The body material is difficult to repair in case of damage. Small dents and scratches, common in trucks used for work, can be difficult and costly to fix, which could discourage owners in the long term. The Cyberjunk was touted as a vehicle capable of floating underwater, but that didn't materialize either. The promise of an amphibious vehicle may have been an attempt by Elon Musk to add another impressive feature to the vehicle, but in the end, the actual functionality was a failure compared to its initial commitment, as it's better to stay away from water. Tesla marketed the Cybertruck as superior to the Ford F-150, but many consumers still prefer the F-150 for its proven reliability and performance. Elon Musk's attempt to disparage iconic designs from the past didn't have the desired effect. The air suspension was supposed to improve off-road performance, but the Cybertruck doesn't stand out in those conditions. Promised with a payload capacity of 3,500 pounds, the production version offers only 2,500 pounds, while the F-150 has 3,300 pounds. The promised towing capacity of 14,000 pounds was revealed to be just 11,000 pounds in production, compared to the F-150's 13,000 pounds. The presentation showing the Cybertruck outpulling an F-150 was done against a lower spec version of the F-150. The promised range of 250, 300, and even 500 miles didn't materialize. To achieve 300 miles, an extra large battery is needed, which takes up most of the cargo bed. For those of you who still had your doubts, I think now you'll agree that I can call it that. The Cyberjunk was designed to be a luxury vehicle, which contrasts with the traditional function of a truck. Most truck owners use them for heavy work, not as a status symbol. In the end, this mismatch between design and functionality may have contributed to the not-so-warm reception. While the idea of a futuristic electric truck is attractive, the reality is that the Cybertruck is an embarrassment, a stain on Tesla's catalog, which could grow even bigger if they don't quickly address its negative reputation. Whether in terms of performance, safety, price, or practicality, this electric truck is a nightmare for the future of trucks. For enthusiasts looking for a reliable and versatile vehicle, I can't tell you exactly which machine to invest in, but I can tell you where not to invest. Stay away from the technological fool's gold. Being supposedly cool isn't enough, and I'll set aside the fact that it's electric, which is another debate that causes controversy on its own for those who love the smell of gasoline and the roar of the engine. What you saw today is a cautionary tale about the dangers of putting form before function. You can admire Tesla for being willing to take risks and challenge competitors with their other cars, but the raw naked truth is that the Cyberjunk so far can only be remembered as a bold experiment that failed in many aspects. The truth, my friend, is that Tesla has the potential to innovate and transform the automotive industry that no one dares to question, but the Cyberjunk, in its current state, is a vehicle far from that. They made a colossal mistake. But being fair here, I personally believe in a game changer from Tesla in future versions of the Cybertruck, as Elon and his company also learned quickly from their mistakes, and for a first version of the vehicle, well, many lessons were learned. Criticisms, praises, all of that will be forgotten when perhaps a Cybertruck 2.0 shows up. And luckily for Musk in the automotive world, he wasn't the only one to do something controversial that cost dearly. Another extremely well-known and market giant manufacturer took a risk on something unique at the time and paid dearly for it in the 1990s, Bugatti. Pay attention to this story that's already begun on your screen about the car that was the last breath before bankruptcy. See you soon. Did you enjoy the video? Become a member, support us.